The weeks just fly by, don't they? Here we are in the middle of summer, and it's another episode of Monday Night Raw. Who would have thought it? What a wonderful world. However, was this most recent episode of Raw good? Or was it bad? Or was it indifferent? I am Simon from WhatCulture, and that's what Ups and Downs is all about. You've tuned in to get the only opinion that matters, so you know whether it was a good show or a bad show. Obviously, that's not true. Everybody's opinions matter. You know, you've got to sell stuff. You've got to push it through. Let's up some downs. While all this opening promo stuff can get a bit long in the tooth after a while, because WWE does do that every week, I'd be lying if I said I didn't enjoy this one. Just getting it up. Roman's speech was all well and good, made even better by the fact he kinda had to tell the crowd to shut up because they were booing him so much, but he still got a damn good reaction. So that was alright, but the real reason it was so spectacular is because then Braun Strowman turned up and he was like, I'm Braun Strowman and I'm one of the best things on Raw. Now a few people the last few days have said he's too much like a cartoon character. Are you kidding me? That's the whole point. He turns up, he's all animated, he causes loads of havoc, and then he leaves. He's fantastic. Braun did do all that again here, and he used the ambulance to make Reigns' life a living hell, and while his obsession with vehicles that are related to medical facilities is very weird. Also, who the hell is driving that ambulance? Who is Braun Strowman's counterpart in all this? It doesn't matter, because this was so much fun. I watch TV and I watch entertainment to be entertained, hence the name, and that's what this is. If I had more than 2 thumbs up, I'd give it that, but I don't, so it's 2 thumbs up. Strowman has to win at Great Balls of Fire too, because if he doesn't, I'm going to go out there and riot. Nobody wants to see Roman Reigns win at this point. Braun Strowman is just like, well, he's magnificent. He's like a puppet that you go and see when you're a kid and you think, I kind of want to be like that puppet, but even better, because he's real. Hilarious stuff, all thanks to the mountain among men. But also, when he does drive away, where does he drive Roman Reigns? Like, he threw Roman Reigns into the ambulance and then he drove off. Where do they go? And this all led to our first match of the evening, which was Finn Balor and the Hardy Boys versus Sheamus, Cesaro and Elias Sampson. It was pretty decent. So getting up. It went about 20 minutes and everybody held their own, including the Drifter. I thought that was pretty good. I know a lot of you are like, oh, he shouldn't be in a feud with Finn Balor, but as long as it's short, it's sweet. Finn Balor comes out the other side as the victor, but does his bit to make sure Elias Sampson comes along, then that's fine. Good guys won after Cesaro took the pinfall, which kind of shows you exactly what WWE thinks of Cesaro, but there was nothing wrong with this. Great first match to Raw. After a really good opening segment, we're away. We're rolling down that mountain. That dude from Transformers that came out and did guest commentary though, that's getting it down. I don't care if your next project is a WWE film. Why are you here? And why, because you're here, does that mean the commentary has to be completely focused on you and we don't talk about the wrestling match on a wrestling show? Stupid. Unfortunately, that does bring us to the saddest down of the night too, because the Goldust and R-Truth segments finally are getting it down. Well, because it's just a bit rubbish, to be honest. After spending weeks building up what I thought was going to be a big angle, Goldust just came out, and he was in his old attire, so that was good. But he came out, he kind of faffed around in the ring, then R-Truth came down, and Goldust just beat him up. I mean, sure, it did progress the angle, but this was so by the numbers. It was so boring. I thought we were going to have something unique and original. And what's worse, I could feel it. I could feel the hints that this is going to be on the pre-show for Great Balls of Fire. I don't want it on the pre-show. I wanted this to be a big deal. It hadn't hurt anything too badly because they could rectify it next week. But yeah, this was a misstep. And then there was Miz TV and LeVar Ball. Now, as we brought up earlier, we all watch this stuff to be entertained, right? That's the whole point. And I'd be lying to you if I said this didn't entertain me, because it did, but obviously it did so for all the wrong reasons. It was like car crash TV, and it made me cringe like I was watching an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm. But I love Curb Your Enthusiasm, so I love this too, because it was insane. But let's not pretend otherwise. This has to get it down. It was utterly off the rails. I did love the fact that LeVar was all like, you know what? I've wanted to be on WWE TV for ages. Scripts be damned. I'm going to do what we want. But the problem with that is that it railroaded everybody else, and The Miz and Dean Ambrose look stupid. With that said though, you've got to go out of your way to watch this, be it on WWE's YouTube or wherever, because it's hilarious. You'll enjoy it. If you enjoy something, you should go and watch it. But yeah, as a segment, borderline atrocious. But you know what? I'd take one of those every week. It got people talking, and I sat there on my sofa and I was cracking up. On a more serious note though, the match that did follow this, which was The Miz, Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel going against Dean Ambrose, Heath Slater and Rhino, well, that's getting a proper down. For one, this new group is now called the Miz-Tourage, or something like that, which is the worst name in history. And two, they came across like filler. Last week I said I wanted to feel like badasses, like they meant something. But no, and as Corey Graves told us, they go out and they cut Miz's garden. Dallas got the pin after rolling up Rhino, and let's just move on from this absolute mess. I tell you who's getting a massive up though, your boy Big Cass, who absolutely nailed it this week, and Enzo. You're getting one too. Both came out with Enzo telling Cass that given all they'd been through, he was willing to forgive him, and both guys played their roles perfectly. Enzo especially came across like legit. I don't know if this was scripted or not, but I couldn't tell. I genuinely thought the guy was upset about it, and Cass genuinely seemed very remorseful. This was awesome. And then they got back together, and they did all their catchphrase stuff, and they held each other's arms in the air, and then they slowly walked up the ramp to go backstage, and then Cass revealed his true colours and whooped Enzo's ass again. The crowd hated it, Cass revelled in it. This heel turn is good. Once it was all said and done too, Cass even returned to threaten Corey Graves, because last week it was Corey Graves who dropped him in this mess in the first place. WWE never does that stuff anymore. They always forget to fill in the blanks. Here, everything has been taken into account, and it's perfect. I'm genuinely excited to see what's going to happen with Big Cass. You can do a lot with Enzo here because he's got all the sympathy in the world. This is one of the best things on Raw, and it has been one of the best things in Raw in ages. Great stuff. I'm going to bow to you. Look at that. Let's probably put the camera out of focus because we're on autofocus, but that's not the point. Bowing. But then we're back to the downs because we now have to talk about Seth Rollins and Bray Wyatt, and I don't even care anymore. I think I hate this. Down. Rollins beat Kurt Hawkins in a pointless match. Then Bray Wyatt came on the Titantron and talked in gibberish, and then Seth Rollins responded by saying absolutely nothing. They may as well have been speaking Russian by this point, because anything that was coming out of their mouth was like, yeah, you said this last week, none of it makes sense. I still don't really know why you don't like each other, because you want to have a match at the pay-per-view. That's the only reason. Again, these two are super talented, but they deserve so much more. This has fallen completely flat. It means nothing to me. Nothing against Bray Wyatt or Seth Rollins. I know people out there love them, and I love them too. But if you really enjoy this feud, well, maybe you do, but I don't. And that's why we're different people. And that's how the world works. But that doesn't matter, because then we got to one of the true highlights of the show, which was, of course, Samoa Joe and Brock Lesnar. Up. Not only did Samoa Joe have an excellent segment with Paul Heyman where he threatened to choke him out, but then he didn't, and he came across as all weird and creepy and a bit like a serial killer. But then when Lesnar made his way to the ring, Joe jumped him and choked him. Lesnar's selling here was perfect, and even though he rammed him into the wall a couple of times, he couldn't break the hold, causing Jobbers R Us to come out and do it for him. Not only did Joe come across like an absolute animal here, but because of the way Brock reacted to it, now Joe feels like he may have the upper hand on the Beast. And that's great. This is just a top program all round. Joe, Heyman and Lesnar are firing off the charts. As long as the bout lives up to all of this, Samoa Joe is going to come out the other side feeling like a massive deal, whether he wins or whether he loses. And that is the point. I implore all of you to go out of your way to watch this. This was WWE at its best. It gets a salute. And then we had Neville versus Lince Dorado, and it was fine. It was just one of those matches that was there. It's not getting an up, it's not getting a down. It's just getting a meh. It was a bit rubbish because then Titus O'Neil came out afterward and said, hey, Tozawa, I've booked you a title match at Great Balls of Fire. And that was kind of it. And I thought we were trying to build the Titus brand here, so I felt like we could have done more, but whatever. It was there. And then it was our main event, which was a big women's gauntlet match to decide who would be the #1 contender. And it was alright. It's getting up. The long and the short of it was Nia Jax beating everybody up, including Bayley at first, who she decimated in about 2 minutes. And that kind of underlines how the company sees Bayley at the moment, but it did end up with Jax versus Sasha Banks. Wonderfully, Banks won this to set up a title match at the pay-per-view against Alexa Bliss, and that's what we wanted, as opposed to Sasha Banks just dancing away on 205 Live or whatever she was doing. And it was a bit strange that Nia Jax kicked all this ass and then got tapped out, but whatever, it doesn't really matter. I liked it though, and finally, Raw's women division feels like it has some focus again, and it's been sorely lacking that recently. So there we go. Couple more thumbs for you. Overall then, this was an excellent episode of Raw and I thought did a great job in building to the pay-per-view. There's at least 3 angles that happened that you can be really excited about, and we should either get progression or payoff at Great Balls of Fire. I'm kind of glad WWE hit a rating slump if this is what we get out of the back of it. This is some good stuff. Now don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you think about all of this. Like, share and subscribe. Then head on over to whatculture.com and read the ups and downs articles. And yes, he has different opinions to me because we're different people. And then make sure you follow WhatCulture on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE. I am Simon from WhatCulture and thank you for joining me today on Ups and Downs, and I hope you have an up day.
Hello, I am Adam Pacitti and I am fun. To prove how fun I am, I'm going to ask you a wrestling-based trivia question. Are you ready? Good. The DDT became famous for being the finishing move of which wrestler? The answer is Jake the Snake Roberts. That was fun. For more fun, buy the WhatCulture Wrestling Trivia game, available now at shop.whatculture.com.